And we are ready for Pro Tour San Diego 2010. You see there are just 2 matches remaining. On the front table, Scott-Vargas of the United States from Oakland, California, up against, there he is, you see him there.
I'd rather play against John than that white-blue deck, though.
Yeah, there he is talking about quite happy not to face Niels Vian in the semifinals. He is facing Simon Görtzen of Germany. There you see him in the magic shirt. And Görtzen very happy to be here in his first Pro Tour top 8, 50 lifetime pro points, but first PT top 8. The back table, which we will bring you up to date with as we go on through the semis, is Kyle Boggemes of the United States up against Craig Wescoe. So Görtzen, the lone representative from not the United States now in this tournament. 409 are done, 4 remain. So there you see Görtzen, they're just completing their pre-game ritual, making sure everything's neatly shuffled. I'm looking forward to this, says Görtzen, and we are looking forward to this, BDM.
I talked to Görtzen over the lunch break, and he is actually looking forward to this. He's like, if I'm going to play in the top 4, I want to play against the best player. He's not intimidated. He's excited. He's really looking forward to this. He said, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. He played on a team in Pro Tour Charleston that came in 5th on tiebreakers, a virtual top 4, if you will.
Yep.
And, that's the closest he's come to this point. And he is just so thrilled to be playing. And if he's going to do it, he wants to do it by getting past the best players. He wants there to be no doubt that he deserves this.
So it looks like LSV is going to keep his opening 7. And we see a Wildner Cattle. And Görtzen is going to mulligan to 6. So let's take a look at the player resumes if we can. We're going to have a look at Luis and Simon, see how they've been getting on in their Magic careers. And it will not surprise you to learn that Luis Scott-Vargas is one of the most storied players in the game. There he is, the 27-year-old. He is level 8. Remember, that is the highest level of all. There are 8 level 8s this year, packed with great names. This is his 3rd Pro Tour top 8. You see there, runner-up in Kyoto behind the master, Mr. Yellow Hat, Gabriel Nassif of France. And of course he won Pro Tour Berlin in 2008. Now there are a stack of records that he holds, quite apart from the current win streak, that he is now at 17 in a single event. You see there, the best win percentage of active pros. Well, we say active, we're basically talking there, there are Hall of Famers who are level 5 who have not played for some time, and we don't include those statistics. But now, as a result of his 16, now 17-0, LSV has the best win percentage of anyone level 4 and above. That includes every Hall of Famer, overtaking one Mr. Randy Buehler in the process. So that is LSV for you. And here is his opponent, Simon Görtzen, 25, as we say, 50 pro points. Debut in Venice 2003, been a real stalwart of the European Grand Prix circuit. Always a pleasure to do business with and always a pleasure to play against. His 11th PT. You don't have to make it right at the start. You can play for a long time. Craig Wescoe has been playing 14 years to get here. So we are underway in Game 1, and Luis Scott-Vargas has opened up with a Forest and Wildner Cattle, and as you would expect, drawing up on the Jun side, it is Savage Lands.
Savage Lands, the classic opening for Jun.
Yep. Terramorphic Expanse.
And really a classic opening for Naya, right? The Terramorphic Expanse to get you exactly the
Don't
land
even
you
go
need.
to 19.
I know, how lucky.
I played 4 Expanse and 8 Fetchlands on Worlds. Just for the Knights.
So this is going to, I know we're just getting started here, but Craig Wescoe is already up 1 game in the other semifinal match. The Pro Red and the Pro Black creatures just proved too much for, only Thrinax is a way to try to stop him, and they can stop neither of them.
Yeah, and Thrinax was fantastic for Boggemes in his quarterfinal. It basically won all 3 games, but does nothing here in Game 1. So Wescoe won to the good. And we are equipped up on the Wildner Cattle for LSV.
Right. And what's interesting here is, again, there's no removal main deck for Simon in this deck. He doesn't have the Bituminous Blasts.
Yeah, he's got the
he's got a couple of bolts, but he is not playing the full package of removal that you see in a lot of the other decks. He calls it no removal, all land.
Okay, there's the first Blightning of the match. So Luis will have to choose. And of course, because he's had a decent start, he doesn't have a ton of choice. He's got 4 cards in hand, so 2 will go away. Pretty certain he'll be keeping the Oblivion Ring. That'll be 1 that stays in hand at a guess. What else has he got? That looks like a couple of land at the back.
He's got a Johnny, he'll probably pitch that. He immediately brings a Johnny and the Elspeths out after sideboarding because they're so bad against the Blightnings.
And in fact, what he did, he got rid of the Oblivion Ring and the Ajani, and the reason for that is because then he can get to 4 mana and Ranger of Eos by the looks of things. Let's see if that's right. Oh no, Knight of Reliquary comes out, there's the 4th land, and I believe he has Ranger of Eos in hand.
Draw.
It's a 3/3 Knight. Simon said if he gets to untap with Knight, that's generally going to be game. So he does not want that to happen here.
But a 3/3, if he has a Lightning Bolt, that will deal with it. Maelstrom Pulse, that works fine, thank you. And there we go to LSV.
Take 3.
5.
That's a Basilisk Collar on the Wild Nicodle, so the life totals are going in opposite directions. Once again, we saw that earlier.
Yeah, every match.
Looks like he got himself a Scoop Mob and a Wild Nicodle there off the Ranger of Eos.
So the Scoop Mob is down 1-1, but there are 5 lands you can see for LSV, and that means that in the next upkeep, that Scoop Mob will get 4+1/+1 counters, and that happens every turn. Remember when that card came out, a lot of people in my local community were like, oh, so it becomes a 5/5. And that was it.
No.
Until the next turn when you made it a 9/9. It's like, really? Yeah.
To be honest, you rarely get to see it become a 9/9. People either, kill it or concede.
Die. Yeah. So a pretty dominant board position at this early stage in the semi-final of Pro Tour San Diego 2010. And it's possible Wescoe actually won his first game quicker than Lackman and Van Lunen won their Pro Tour in 2007 here.
All of these decks get down to business pretty quickly here.
Yeah.
Simon is trying to figure out his best play here. He's got Bloodbraid Elf, but he doesn't know what he'll cascade into. He can hope for the best. He's got a Siege Gang Commander, it looks like. He's considering, basically, I would imagine, between those two. He could also play a land and use his
run out of Siege Gang
to block
looks of thing.
if he wanted to. He's thinking it all through.
Louis, such a solid player. There's the Bloodbraid. Another Bloodbraid. Garrick. And land. And there's a Sprouting Thrynax.
Shuffle them on the bottom.
And that's a pretty presentable bonus out of the Cascade in the current situation because he's going to get a bunch of 1/1s.
Do we need 6-sided dice?
I have 1.
Oh, yeah, try you farm.
Oh, we're not allowed to put them on this side.
So there go the 4 counters onto the Scoop Mob. That 6-sided dice is not going to be sufficient if it lives another turn for the counters on Scoop Mob. Now LSV, in addition to the 3 monsters in play, he has 2 man lands available to him, one of which he's going to activate. It's the Stirring Wildwood 3/4 with reach.
He wants to keep mana available so he can make another play. He's got another Wild Nicodle at the end of this turn.
So Görtzen looks to line up his blocks.
And if he wants to make any headway into this board, he has to take 8 and give Luis 3. He'll get 3 tokens, and he can kill the Ranger and the Wild Nicodle.
Which seems a pretty presentable set of options.
No, he decides.
Okay.
He decides he's going to take more. He's taking 9 here. He's going to 2, but he's got to kill that Scoop Mob.
Yeah. I would like that dead, please.
I'm going to assign all the damage to the Bloodbraid Elf.
So there will be no tokens.
Take 9, go to 2.
For Görtzen.
Go to 27.
Thrynax will stay there as a just 3/3. Cute. Another Wild Nicodle.
Go ahead.
Görtzen would have loved the Thrynax to die there.
Siege Gang Commander and some friends. No mana to activate it, though.
Now that board looks a lot better for Görtzen, but he is still very much under pressure here.
He's still got cards in his hand.
Yep.
He's able to... We're going to see a Raging Ravine get in here.
Apart from anything else, Görtzen is at 2, and there are 3 Lightning Bolts in LSV's deck. So Görtzen does not necessarily have a very long time.
Yep. And with 4 creatures, you have to block all of them. You only get one double block here.
So 4/4 Raging Ravine, the Ranger of Eos at 3/2, pair of Nacatls, one of them with the Basilisk Collar.
Guaranteed to clear the board. He'll have 3 tokens in play when it's done.
Sure. As a former Pro Tour champion, Mike Turian joins us in the arena, now working in research and development at Wizards of the Coast, coming to watch LSV in action, see if he can get all the way to 19-0. Görtzen deep into the tank, it's almost Karsten-esque. Frank Karsten, had he played here, would have reached 50 Pro Tours, another milestone to look out for. Bram Snepvanger's round 1 of San Juan. He will make 600 matches on the Pro Tour, so which is just an astonishing amount.
We'll replace the goblins.
Yeah.
But off we go. Goblins become saplings.
Forest Noble Hierarch.
It's the last card in Louis' hand. Remember, he still has a Stern Wildwood.
You gain 3 life,
yeah,
right?
I'm at 30.
I'm at 30. The 30 is not relevant, it's the 2 that's relevant right now.
Draw.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's quite the card for Görtzen. Quite a bit of removal.
0 card?
His
Joker.
removal deck. See what rolls off the top.
Is it Christmas in Görtzen land? Puts it back in his hand. Yeah, here we go. So Bloodbraid, Broodmate Dragon, Reaches, Ravine. It's another Throne Axe. Just like last time.
Handy.
Yeah.
You can just put those on the bottom. I don't need to cut them.
Both these players very active in their local communities. They both play Friday Night Magic. They're both playing, well, LSV not in PTQs, but they both also judge as well. So they're pretty technically correct. They know what's going on in the game, and very smooth interactions between the two. Right now, Görtzen is looking for a smooth interaction that involves not dying.
How about attacking? We can see that he's holding a Maelstrom Pulse, which is going to take out those Nacatls. He has to go to 1 to do it, but
Sure.
there are no Spark Mages in the main deck.
Yeah, that's fun and frolics for games 2 through 5 if we get that far. There you see Görtzen just trying to do the math of the attack.
I'll take 4.
Probably telling LSV that there's a Maelstrom Pulse in his future. Yep, he's going to go to 1.
Fetch land straight away. One noticeable thing about LSV, not just this weekend, but throughout his Pro Tour career, you see players who start very quickly and then fade down the stretch. You see people who are slow starters and then they build when their back's against the wall. Olivier Ruel is very good in elimination matches, for example. But LSV, it's almost like a straight line. He's 65%, whatever the round. He just sits there and, you know, that's around his win percentage. Maelstrom Pulse for the Wild Cattle, away they go. So now we have Elf, 3 tokens, and a Thrynax with tokens in waiting, but yeah. I do not care that you have improved your board position. This card in my hand does nothing about the board. This just kills you. Now, we're talking about the run to perfection with Luis Scott-Vargas. Last night we had a chance, Evan Owen got a chance to chat with Luis. So while they're getting ready for game 2, let's see if we can hear some thoughts from Luis Scott-Vargas about getting his way to the possible perfect 19-0.
Couldn't do more than try.
Nope.
We hear these guys talking as they sideboard. Nice overhead shot of the arena. And we'll see what we can do about queuing that video up for you. In the meantime, let me talk to you about what LSV is doing out of the sideboard here. He is bringing in Baneslayer. He's bringing in Behemoth Sledge. He's bringing in Mystic, and he's bringing in Dauntless Escort.
All right, let's hear from LSV now. This recorded last night.
And then I'll tell you what he brings out when we come back.
So after I was 12-0 and pretty much locked for the top 8, I had to figure out what to do because most people, once they're locked, they can draw or concede or whatever. But it turned out I just played against some people I didn't know. Didn't really have a particular reason to want them in or out of the top 8, and I figured I wanted to go, try to be undefeated. And then once I was 13-0 at that point, I had, no plans of doing anything but trying to win. And I managed to pull out the wins in round 14, 15, and 16 to 16-0, which was, I think, pretty surprising to me, just like, everyone else.
So there you have LSV, pretty surprising to him. Yeah, you should have seen the crowds around the feature match arena down the stretch there for LSV.
Yeah, it's amazing it got covered at all because it was so hard to get there.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we were literally sort of shoving. It was
like
linebacker mode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can tell you that in the second semi-final, although Carl Boggemes is 1 down in double quick time to Craig Wescoe, he is fighting back in game 2. His one sideboarded Malakir Bloodwitch has come to play. As you know, that is not ideal
not having
for
a bolt
decks.
put in the coddles 9
That's
extra damage.
the biggest hole in Craig Wescoe's deck, and it's the reason that the Dread Statuary is in his deck. Is specifically so he can attack into
I need to do to beat Jund,
So we talked about
I
LSV sided out here, sided out Baneslayer, or sided in Baneslayer, sided in Sledge,
You're on 6 also. So.
sided in a Stoneforge Mystic, sided in his Dauntless Escorts. But he is taking out his Planeswalkers, probably taking out the birds, and he wasn't sure whether or not Simon was going to be bringing in Master of the Wild Hunt, and depending on whether or not he brought in Master of the Wild Hunt was going to determine whether or not LSV left in or took out the bolts, which we saw with the decider in Game 1.
Well, of course, coming out of the Swiss, LSV was the top seed at number 1. He may yet not be the top American finisher. Let's take a look for you. Here are the top Americans, some selected highlights for you. The top 10, and some pretty awesome names there. Kyle, Luis, Craig Wescoe, Tom Ross, just missing out. That 9-1 record in Standard, not quite enough for him.
He's the designer of the deck Luis is playing in the top 8 today, Boss Naya.
Patrick Chapin, great to see him back in the top 16.
8-1-1 with his blue-white control deck that we did a deck tech on. Apparently was a very, very popular deck in the public events all day yesterday.
Justin Chen, not someone I know much about, just missing out on top 16, but all these players auto-qualify for the next Pro Tour. If you make the top 50 at a Pro Tour, that guarantees your slot at the next one, regardless of qualifiers, rating, none of that matters. Top 50, you're in. And nice to see Ben Peebles Monday up high in the standings as well. So there are your top Americans. The players are getting ready for Game 2. And 3 Americans in the top 4.
I'll play first.
Gary, do you count Godinez Vita Giris as an American?
Yeah, of course I do.
Well, he also had a pretty strong finish, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And he is, I think he was in the top 64 just about. I'm going to have to check on that for you.
I'll keep.
Sometimes he gets lumped in with the other Lithuanians.
Yeah, well, he always wears the Lithuania shirt, right? pretty much. So turn 1, Wild Cattle, we're underway. Savage lands, here we go again.
Go.
Raging Ravine for Görtzen.
18.
And Stoneforge Mystic.
Which is almost certainly going to be for Behemoth Sledge.
From that top-down view, I always think Stoneforge Mystic looks like one of those guys guiding the aircraft in with the, with the orange flares. It's like down a bit, left a bit. Sorry.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Guiding the Basilisk collar into land. Yeah.
He actually sides out his collars.
Right, okay.
So I suppose this guy has been great also?
Yeah.
Every card in his deck has been great also, Simon. Land number 3. Is this a Lightning? No, it's a Thrynax.
Go.
Ooh, no third land for LSV.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So can Görtzen gain any edge from that missed land drop?
That looks like a Lava Claw reaches over there. Sounds like the Blood Witch is still keeping Wescoe on the ropes. Won't let him out.
Mm-hmm. In comes the Sprouting Thrynax for Görtzen.
Go.
Behemoth.
So he uses the ability of the Stoneforge Mystic to put the Behemoth Sledge into play at the end of the turn, but still no land. Attacks for 2.
Go.
Passes the turn.
And you see a lot of inexperienced players in that situation where they're down with land, there's a 3-3 on the other side. They might not attack with that Nacatl and Stoneforge Mystic. It was Stuart Wright who first said to me, you know what, if it's not going to block, it's got no business not attacking. Get it in there. And LSV wastes no time sending the Mystic and the Nacatl.
There's a Chicago Simon, he felt like this matchup really came down to who was going to be the aggressor.
And who's the beatdown?
Very much, he said very much like who's the beatdown. He was actually quite willing to let LSV be the aggressor and play a somewhat more controlling game. You see, LSV tried to path to exile his Stoneforge Mystic to get a land, and we saw Bolt in response.
And Bolt again.
In response to equipping Behemoth Sledge onto Wild Nacatl.
And now Görtzen comes with Broodmate Dragon, 4 and 4. Such an exciting card. In comes the Thrynax.
The double dragon.
Yep. And that is it. We are 1-1 in the semi-final between LSV and Simon Görtzen. Well, we will have a proper look at the two players' sideboards for you as they get ready for game 3, because you can be certain they will be checking their cards over again to see if there is a possible edge for this. So let's see if we can get those up for you. You can see exactly what each player is trying to work with in their 15-card sideboard. There is Lewis Scott-Vargas, the Basilisk Collar, the 2/2 Haste Goblin Guide, another spare Stoneforge Mystic, Behemoth Sledge, a couple of Dauntless Escorts, sacrificed to give you guys that they become indestructible. Mana Barbs, forecasting cost, the 2 Baneslayers, the Cunning Spark Mage, that's the great tech from this weekend, and an Oblivion Ring.
So, Luis is going to be bringing in the Stoneforge Mystic, or has already.
Yep.
He's going to bring in the Behemoth Sledge, he's going to bring in the 2 Dauntless Escorts, he's going to bring in the 2 Baneslayer Angels, and then there was he was up in the air about the Cunning Spark Mages, probably not since he doesn't have the Basilisk Collar, which is something he's taking out. He's talking about taking out a Johnny, taking out Elspeth, taking on birds. Kind of interesting to note, Luis has not lost a Jund yet in this tournament. He's only played it a couple of times, but he has not lost a Jund. I mean, we can sort of make that assumption based on his record.
Sure.
He thought that the no Bituminous Blast out of Simon's deck at any point was very important. He felt like he would not get out-carded. in this match.
Yeah, we talked about in the Jump Mirror that Boggemes had gone without Bituminous Blast. The Japanese player Ikawa had gone with Bituminous, looking to go 5 to 4 to 3. That did not happen for him. Boggemes swept
particularly happy,
that
but
match.
can't be just too disappointed.
So now we are down to the best of 3. Here is Simon Görtzen's sideboard, Quad Deathmark, Quad Great Sable Stag, the Trips, Master of the Wild Hunt. What does he do with this one?
Well, he's bringing in the 4 Deathmarks. He's bringing in the 2 Terminates. He's bringing in the Pulse. He's going from some removal all land to all removal all land.
Yeah.
He didn't sound like he was going to bring in the Master of the Wild Hunt, which was a card LSV was concerned about. If he brings in the Master of the Wild Hunt, LSV wants to bring out his leave his Lightning Bolt in. If the Master of the Wild Hunt's not in, he doesn't want the ball.
So there's a little guessing game going on.
There is a little guessing game. Simon doesn't know if he wants to bring in his Pithing Needle or not, and that's really dependent on how LSV approaches the Planeswalkers. So he said he was going to be revisiting his sideboard every game and making adjustments based on the cards he saw come off of LSV's deck.
So Misty Rainforest kicks off for LSV at 1-1. Another record he holds, by the way, is the Pro Tour winner with the most elimination games faced in the top 8, because when he won Pro Tour Berlin in 2008, he was 0-2 in the quarterfinal, wins 3-2. 0-2 in the semi-final, wins 3-2. Then he monsters his way in through past Matej Zadelkai in the final. But no player has faced more than 6 elimination games in a top 8 out of a possible 9. So he's away with Noble Hierarch.
No bolt for the Hierarch.
No bolt for Noble.
So it sounds like the Malakir Blood Witch went all the way, despite a couple of dread statuaries for Craig Wescoe, and we have a tied game on the back tables.
Okay, well, we will take you there after Game 3, so you will see their Game 3 after this one here, as Behemoth Sledge comes down on the back of Noble Hierarch for LSV. And again, we've seen so often that screenshot of a bunch of stuff in play on one side and just a lonely land on the other. That's the explosion of the extra mana.
There's Deathmark.
Out of the board.
One of the sideboard cards, another tap land.
So 2 man lands in play for Görtzen now.
Yep, and no white source for the Knight of the Reliquary from LSV.
So that Noble Hierarch going away. It's pretty important.
Yeah, while LSV doesn't mind having his birds and nobles bolted, Deathmark is kind of annoying.
Yes. So they're sprouting Thrynax.
And there's Plains. Eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Or is that a Tectonic Edge?
I believe that is Tectonic Edge.
Oh, that's Tectonic Edge. It looked like a panorama to me.
So the Edge can...
not a Plains.
No, not now or ever.
Not an Expanse.
So the Thrynax comes in.
15? Yep.
15, LSV. And we see a Broodmate Dragon there in Görtzen's hand, a Bloodbraid Elf. Putrid Leash. Also a Maelstrom Pulse. It's a pretty exciting hand for Görtzen right now. LSV could have an exciting hand if he had a way to play it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, past the turn. The Sledge is a threat if LSV can ever get a creature to stick, but it's looking increasingly unlikely he would ever be able to do so. Looking at Görtzen's hand. "25-year-old from Aachen, Germany, trying to sculpt a 2-1 lead against the favourite for the Pro Tour."
So just a quick note, the loss also means another Pro Tour record will stand that LSV cannot beat, the 9-0 by Jeffrey Serron in Pro Tour London.
Ah, indeed. Yes, Serron 2005. Mono red deck, if memory serves.
Yep.
3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Thank you very much.
Fourth land turns on the Tectonic Edge from LSV. Should he want to kill a Raging Ravine.
You can be pretty certain that Görtzen is aware of that and has decided 4 is the correct answer.
Oh, of course.
For right now, so it could be a Pyrrhic victory, that. And there we are.
Bloodbraid Elf.
And so far he's been cascading into Thrynaxes. What have we got this time?
Putrid
It's a Putrid Leech.
You got it.
Yeah, you're good, says LSV. And in come the boys, yes. LSV looks like he's got a lightning bolt there. Yes, he does. So there it goes, the Bloodbraid Elf.
Go to 8. Yep. I go to 17.
Yep.
Görtzen pays 2 for the Putrid Leech, so deals 4 damage. He does not care about dropping to 17.
Yep, there goes the Raging Ravine.
And we are done. 2-1 to Simon Görtzen.
Luis is on the brink of elimination.
So,
2-1.
we will head to the table in the back very shortly. Just taking a comfort break over there is Carl Boggemes. He's just coming in. You see Craig Wescoe there, 27. Seems very, very relaxed. He's been playing for almost 14 years. There's Carl Boggemes, the 20-year-old from Waterford in Michigan. I was talking to him during lunch, and he was saying, you know, there are a ton of people rooting for me in local stores all over that sort of greater area, because he's well known in so many stores. You know, he kind of spreads his Friday nights around the locality, so to speak. So that's Carl, 4th Pro Tour, been playing for 9 years. Debut at Charleston 06. BDM, you've played in a couple of team Pro Tours. How does that feel? Is it a nice way to make a debut when you're on team, or is there something very special about being just you?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, we saw that last time we were in San Diego with Jacob Van Lunen and Chris Lockman, the security of having your friend there and knowing that you're having a good time no matter what happens.
So there is Carl Boggemes on your screen, and now here is Craig Wescoe, the 27-year-old from Cincinnati, Ohio. Best place finish before this weekend was his previous Pro Tour, top 64 of Worlds. In Rome, he went 12-6, so a 2/3 record. That, taken across a career, is pretty stellar.
He's been stringing Pro Tours together. He strung together qualifying for Austin, a high rating after Austin into Worlds, Worlds into this. He's now going to be qualified for, conceivably for the remainder of the year.
Yeah. Absolutely, because he's guaranteed 16 points right here for being in the semi-final. There he is. He has a lot to smile about. He is really enjoying his Sunday experience. He was pretty scared coming down the stretch. The way that the last round worked out, it looked like there were kind of 4, 5, maybe 6 guys competing for what ultimately would be 2 or 3 slots in the top 8.
We were really eager to get that deck tech in with him, and he was very nervous, because while he's talking about the deck, he really was thinking about, am I top 8 or am I 9th, 10th?
And there is a big difference between 9th and 8th. You only have to ask Adam Koska of the Czech Republic about the difference between the two. He played in 2 Pro Tours last year, finished 9th in both of them.
So, Kyle Boggemes is playing Jund, but we're going to see what, I guess, post-sideboard, what we could call an echo-friendly Jund. He's going green. He said one of the big problems, he's siding out Thrynax because Wescoe's siding in Lightcaster, Devout Lightcaster.
Yep.
The 8 protection from Knights, the core Firewalkers and the White Knights are a real problem for him. He said the Thrynax are really bad. Let's try Trained Armadons. So he's bringing in Garrix, he's making tokens.
And there you see Carl Boggemes' sideboard, the one Malakir Blood Witch, which basically equalized this match up.
Right, he's bringing in Great Sable Stags, he's using his Garrix, he's going to make 3/3s. He said he was testing a lot. Both AJ Soccer and Cedric Phillips were testing White Weenie against him, and they, he developed this strategy to compete against them. And he said, he started winning, and they said, no one else has done that against us. That's his plan here. I mean, this is obviously a different White Weenie deck, but he feels that that's his road to victory.
Yeah, there's no doubt that however much you test, having flexibility and versatility, because you play against 3 White Weenie decks and they are just not the same. We tend to sort of put them into archetypes for ease, because they're all playing planes and they've all got core Skyfishers or whatever, but in the end, it's actually playing the actual 60 cards and then post-board. That's one of the biggest lessons any pro will tell you. Make sure you test post-sideboard, because at least 2/3 of the half to 2/3 of the games are going to be with sideboard, and then when you get here, Here, you could have 4 sideboard
Sometimes
games.
it's 80% of the games.
Yeah. So players are looking, and players are going to mulligan. Let's take the opportunity, if we can, to look at Craig's sideboard. The 4 Devout Lightcaster, triple Sanctifiers to get rid of artifacts and enchantments, the 2 O-Rings, couple of Day of Judgment, Luminarch Ascension. That's been an interesting card in all sorts of formats, because people love that card to try and do amazingly cool stuff with, and sometimes it works and sometimes it really doesn't.
2 Relic of Progenitus.
Yep.
We can probably safely tuck those away for the rest of the way in this tournament.
Yep.
Now that the Open the Vaults deck is gone. The Day of Judgments are obviously coming in here. You know, he's going to go up to a full set of 4. He's still going to have the Lightcasters.
Yeah.
You know, obviously bringing in the Oblivion Rings. He's just got to do what he can.
Yep. So Wescoe against Boggemes. There you see the 2 of them, and we are away. So. There's Raging Ravine. There's a Core Firewalker.
Got it all, man.
So there's a Terminator Putrid Leech there for Boggemes. Goes in search of land number 2. There it is. And a noticeable feature of all these matches is that they've played at a pretty crisp pace. We got through all 4 quarterfinals, just about an hour and 20 minutes, somewhere around that. So that's pretty crisp for best of 5s, even though we had a couple of 3-0s. There's the Putrid Leech.
Bam. I hope you don't have the card.
Not scared of the Firewalker.
You can go.
You will not miss a thing in Louis Scott-Vargas against Simon Görtzen. They are taking a little break in their match so that we can bring you Boggemes Wescoe Game 3. So we will go back to see whether LSV can keep the dream alive when the conclusion of this game. As Wescoe says, here's my very own air traffic controller, Stoneforge Mystic.
They'll probably get and play a Trusty Machete here. Nope, he's going to get the Sigil of Distinction.
That's a card that Antti Malin, the 2008 World Champion, was talking about. He's a real advocate of White Weenie. We saw him play that in Yokohama in 2007 in block, made the top 50 there with that, and that was a tournament where White Weenie was the expected deck, the big expected deck. It got promptly annihilated. Here, slightly more off the radar, and kind of came to prominence in the last few days. Everyone was aware of it, I think, but just to find so many playing it was a bit of a surprise.
You have like 5-2, right?
So Wescoe looks to tap his 1 remaining mana, and
trying to decide whether or not he wants to path the Putrid Leech.
Yeah, path nice. Okay.
Decides to wait until upkeep.
Attack a Leech.
Nope.
How about Thunder? 17? Yep. 16. Okay.
down to 16.
Lightning.
There's Blightning.
Gain 1? Sure. 17 and 14.
So 17 plays 14, I believe, is the life total.
Trust you.
Going to get a look at what Craig discarded there. Can't quite see it in this camera angle. Plays a second Dread Statuary.
Sigil.
Plays the Sigil.
For 4.
Core Firewalker and Marsh Flats went away with Blightning.
And
So it's
attack
6.
for 6.
Okay, I'm at 11.
So card drops to 11. Putrid Leech facing Stoneforge Mystic, Core Firewalker with +3/+3. Really neat mechanic on Sigil of Distinction as well, that the equip cost is, it's just a little bit less good than it was. It's like a second-hand sale, it's like, it used to be this great thing, and now it's a little bit rusty, and now it's not very good. Yeah.
You get your big brother's pants.
I never had a big brother. I'm quite glad about that now I think about it.
We're generally a big pain in the neck.
You're the big brother?
Yeah.
Okay. I might have known.
That's Mark Firewalker.
Firewalker?
Yeah.
So the Firewalker is going to go away.
Also Death Mark.
Yep. May not be instant, but it's still pretty powerful at just 1 mana. Just the ideal targeted kind of sideboard card you want. Double statuary to go with the 2 planes for Wescoe. And 2-man lands also on the other side for Kyle.
No attack with the Future Leech. You'd be looking at a 3/4 Stoneforge Mystic if he equipped.
How many do you have again? 3?
He said these guys played each other in the Swiss. Very, very close match. Kyle felt like he learned a lot from that match. And while he won, feels like he actually improved. You know, felt like it was pretty unfavorable for him. Feels like this time out, he's advantaged because of how he's approached his sideboard.
There you see the hand, Dread Statuary number 3, Plains number 3, Elspeth Knight Errant number 1. The statuary comes down.
Play statuary.
And I think it's quite a good idea when you are in your first PD top 8, and just generally, you know, to take a little bit of time to just make sure that you are making the correct plays, that you're happy with what you're going to do. And neither player has been rushed here. They were both, even though they play pretty crisply, they were still prepared to just take that little extra second just to go, am I doing this right?
I think that's true outside of the top 8 also.
It's quite handy, in fact, in Magic in general. So, in we come.
So you're gonna...
Yeah,
9 and 8.
Yep.
Boggemes down to 8.
What's up?
Eats a Dread Statuary equipped with Sigil of Distinction.
Wood Riddle.
So what do we get from the Cascade?
Get a Great Sable Stag. Trained Armadon, as Kyle referred to it.
Yep.
Attack for 3.
And he will now send the Bloodbraid into the red zone and put Craig down to 11.
It'll be interesting to see if the results from this tournament influence a lot of other monocolored decks to play Dread Statuary.
Yeah.
We certainly haven't seen it. One of the problems with playing a monocolored deck is you don't get the advantage of having a man land.
For sure.
So, you know, Dread Statuary maybe felt a little, you know, less exciting than some of the other options in the 2-colored, you know, rare slot. But
the man land that could.
Yeah. It's looked very good for Kyle this weekend. I mean, for Craig this weekend.
So a reminder that Louis Scott-Vargas currently trails Simon Görtzen by 2 games to 1. They are not currently playing. They will play game 4 before your very eyes around the world. So you are missing nothing there, as we see who will take the edge here in game 3. So out comes Elspeth, the Planeswalker. Are we going to see soldiers? Are we going to see +3/+3 in flying? We're going to see a token. Soldier out of the box.
And a potentially lethal Dread Statuary next turn.
Yep.
Comes a 5/3 with the equipment.
8/6 with flying via the good Lady Elspeth. Kyle sorting his mana, but he's only at 6, so he can't sort it for Cruel Ultimatum mana.
Okay.
I think you have to actually have 9 Proto top 8s before you get to arrange your land for Cruel Ultimatum mana.
I'm bored. Let me attack.
Was that your impression of a great sable stag or a blood-red elf?
Maybe both.
Okay. I wonder whether we'll be alive to see Magic where everything's in 3D like the Star Wars chess game on board the Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
You know, pick me, pick me.
No, like it's
Moto 4.0.
I've seen the beta for that. It's pretty exciting.
Attack you for 6.
I haven't. Forum posters. That's a lie.
Kyle sends in both his 3 power creatures.
Okay, they convinced him.
Craig is on 11. He sees that this gives him a window to win, but will the window get slammed on his fingers is what he has to be wondering about. Like, obviously Kyle's not going to attack here unless he has something to do.
Got a pretty impressive front row of the audience here right now. We've got Gavin Verhey, Brian Kowals, V. Moshevitz, Ben Swartz from GG's Live watching on here as we see who will take the edge and go 1 up with 2 to play.
He's going to double block the Bloodbraid.
Blocker. Okay. Blocker 1, blocker 2. Take 3.
Craig goes to 8.
Yep. Go.
Around about 10:15, 11 on Sunday night in Europe, if you're watching this. Thanks for staying up with us. Already we're into Monday morning in Japan. Sorry your guy didn't make it further than the quarterfinal.
They're all asleep.
They are, yeah, they've probably gone to bed by now.
Actually, they're not. Everyone's ready to see what happens with LSG.
Yeah.
Wherever you are in the world.
Were we in this predicament last time and you had to terminate?
I hear Craig saying something about it. Remember the last time we did this, you had to terminate.
Well, there are 2 cards you can see there on the left of your screen sitting in Boggemes' hand.
And if Craig flipped either of them over, he'd see that they were terminated.
Yeah, and then he'd get a game loss.
Activate.
So Statuary becomes active. Elspeth
Jump with Elspeth.
says, I would like to make that very, very big. I would like to equip. I would like to attack.
Always have it.
Yeah,
Well, running good.
I always have the terminate. I'm running good. And you saw just that little hope in Craig's eyes there. It's like, well, I know you probably should have it, but I'd like to think you didn't.
Extra 1. Go.
Craig comes to 1 from the attack for 7. He's got... And even if there's nothing in Kyle's hand, this attack is not lethal because he can't get an extra 1 off of
the sigil. Because you can see
equip
there.
it goes to 0.
Yep.
And it looks like an Arid Mesa also, so he would actually have to go... he can't activate that Arid Mesa.
Yep, it's a blank. You see that quite a lot in Extended as well, in games that go long. You see people finding out their lands that they just cannot use.
I kind of Elspeth this guy.
Up we go to 7. There's a token. 1/1 soldier. And there's another Stoneforge Mystic. Shields up.
Kyle is about to go 2/1. He'll be able to kill one of these, untap, activate, and attack for the win.
The land is going to do it. Which you would not guess by looking at Kyle right now. He does not look like he's eagerly about to destroy someone.
Should break your Arid Mesa and equip with it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Hey, here's 2 mistakes you could make for me.
Yep.
Wescoe says no thanks. Terminate for the Stoneforge Mystic.
So hot.
Run it so hot, you hear Carl say.
Start my turn.
He's not lying. He is.
Yeah, right, Ravine.
Yep.
So Ravine is 5/5.
Counter.
Counter, and that is it. So Kyle Boggemes takes a 2-1 lead.
And then I imagine we're going to be cutting back to the 18-0 match.
Yeah, your imagination is pretty eager and pretty correct. Luis Scott-Vargas is getting ready to face an elimination match against Simon Görtzen of Germany. Karl Boggemes takes a 2-1 lead, and so we are going to head back to the matchup for history. History for one of them. Will it be LSV or will it be the German Simon Görtzen? Incidentally, if you're pretty new to the game, all these top 8 players, they play Friday Night Magic at their local store, but you may not know where that is. So if you want to get down this Friday or any other, the place to come, you're already on the right website, wizards.com/ only 3 letters you need to know, FNM. FNM gives you Friday Night Magic. So wherever you are in the world, you can find the nearest store to you, find out what Pro Tour champions are just turning up every Friday to play. We did a feature with Brian Kibler and Pat Sullivan about Sky High Comics outside of San Diego earlier in the weekend.
If you were going to FNM this weekend for a standard event, what deck would you bring from this event?
Are we waiting for that?
Well, I think I'd probably like to play the SV deck. Just because it's a SV deck, you know?
All right.
I kind of would like to try to tinker around with that Open the Vaults deck a little bit.
Interrupted magic.
Maybe add a little extra mana. Okay, so we're underway here. Let's look at this.
So LSV must win this game. He has not faced this scenario at all this weekend.
Worth noting, LSV started this game on 5 cards. Did not look like a full hand when they started.
So Arid Mesa and Terramorphic Expanse for LSV on the left of your screen. On the right we have Forest and Dragonskull Summit for Görtzen, leading 2-1. Is he going to succeed where 17 others have failed this weekend? He did indeed. LSV begin with just 5 cards.
Eat some more lands.
The master is going to have to be the master. Because we are deep in the 4th quarter and he is down a touchdown.
Be careful there. You don't want him to defriend you.
I'm not going to post anything about it. That's what he said, right?
Here's a Knight of the Reliquary.
What's this one?
Comes down as a 4/4.
I will tell you afterwards if you'd like to know.
I'm pretty sure about it.
Your turn.
So over we go to Görtzen, and he has a lot of cards in hand, a luxury that the champion does not.
There's a Death Mark, one of those cards.
And the board is empty once again.
Go.
Luis, pretty unexciting Noble Hierarch, although potential mana down the line. Görtzen on the right of your screen, LSV on the left. Do you get more or less nervous when you're facing someone who's mulliganing to 5 and you need that game for victory?
I get much more nervous.
Yes, so do I. I think this would be so shameful. I'm on the draw, he's at 5. I can do this.
Yeah, it probably comes, it's an equal and opposite reaction to feeling too cocky about it. That when I first started playing Magic, someone mulligans, you'd be like, yes! And then they beat you.
Yes.
So now I just always expect that. Here's a range reveals. Unmulliganing for Luis Scott-Vargas.
Exactly, there's the card advantage back, as it were. Wildner Cattle. And what else do we see? We see the Scoot Mob, yeah. Thrynax for Görtzen. But he is being given the time to recover. It would seem at the moment. That said, if Görtzen can run into Broodmate Dragon, plus PAL, that will make the board look extremely different in a couple of turns' time. But as things stand, LSV playing with just 5, is coming back into it. There you see Görtzen trying to navigate his way into the Pro Tour final, with Bloodbraid Elf cascading into, yet again, as it always seems to be, Sprouting Thrynax. And he sends the Elf and the Thrynax in. Range Reveals has done its job for LSV and will block. There's another Manland for Görtzen. He now has double Raging Ravine there. Wildner Cattle and Birds of Paradise for Luis. Looking at LSV's hand, he's got plenty of good stuff in there. So Lightning Bolt, Scoop Mob, another Wildner Cattle, and what looks like a Behemoth Sledge. Görtzen has another Bloodbraid Elf, back to back.
Into Deathmark.
Now, what does he get rid of here?
I think he's got to get rid of the mana creatures.
So the question is, does the Hierarch have more value because it grants Exalted, or does the Birds of Paradise have more value because it flies and can potentially chump block a dragon, something like that?
Cards, fine.
Well, I think he knows that Luis has to consider blowing up one of his lands, so I don't think it matters that much. I think he's just trying to keep him off,
So away goes Birds of Paradise.
Which gives him red. Actually, that's the important, deal.
So there's a trade there, and Luis is at 10. And the way he said it was not promising, and there goes Noble Hierarch as well. Görtzen liking the look of the situation right now. 6 power of men on the table.
Go.
Dauntless Escort.
That is a 3-3. It can trade, but Görtzen will get 3 back. Look at Görtzen's hand. Broodmate, Bloodbraid Elf, and Siege Gang Commander. All gas. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rage and Ravine goes in to join the 2 Sprouting Thrynax. Luis looks
like he's thinking about laying it down right here. I mean, I don't know what he can do.
Is this the moment that the journey ends? It is! Görtzen wins!
Good luck.
Görtzen wins by 3 games to 1
Tectonic Edge
over Luis Scott-Vargas of the United States. The mulligan to 5. He had the cards in hand. The range reveals looked to bring him back into game. Not much to say about this. Well, there is something to say about this, Simon Görtzen. You are the 18th man who has stood opposite Luis Scott-Vargas, but wowee, you are the first one to take him down. You go down in history, my friend. Wow, that is pretty extraordinary stuff. Görtzen wins 3 games to 1. Not what we were expecting.
Not what we were expecting. 17 wins in a row, the longest winning streak in an individual Pro Tour history. But in the end, it's the last 2 matches that were the ones LSV really wanted to win, and Simon Görtzen got it done.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do, we're going to take you back down to the other semi-final where we have Boggemes against Wescoe. There you see them, and they are getting ready for their game 4. So the players are just about to get away. They're checking that the excitement has subsided from semi-final 1. Wow, the shockwaves of that are going to go around the world for sure. Luis Scott-Vargas turned 17-0 into 17-1. And the deck malfunctioned at a critical time, down to 5. And so we are gearing up to find out who will face Simon Görtzen of Germany in the Pro Tour San Diego final. Which American will be left standing when we come back for the championship match? Will it be Carl Boggemes, you see there on the left of your screen? Will it be 27-year-old Craig Wescoe?
Yeah.
So these 2 players just about to get underway in game 4. Wescoe begins.
LSV said he would have lost the under on 1 machete in the top 8. It's like, I think a lot of people would have lost that under.
Yeah. I bet Jace was going to be the most played card in top 8 from World Weight.
Nope.
Boy, was I wrong about that.
Stoneforge Mystic turns out to be the answer to that trivia question. What is the most played World Weight card? The EC Basilisk Collar.
Pretty big too.
Double Core Skyfisher.
It's either one of those 2 cards though for sure.
Well, it looks like an Elspeth on the left of hand.
It is.
It is indeed.
So I don't know if people realize this, but Craig Wescoe is all that stands between the world and a Jund-on-Jund finals.
Go Craig. Go Craig. I didn't say that.
Yeah, I guess Ravine.
Jund represented round about 27% of the field overall,
he has at least
so
one.
heading towards a third of the field. Basically what happened, it's the usual backpack theory. Everyone turns up ultimately on the night before with a rucksack, and they have 2 decks. And they have a deck that they quite like and would quite fancy playing, and that's maybe Mono Red or Vampires or Bant or Boss Knight or whatever, and then they have a Jund deck. They have 75 Jund sleeved up, and on the morning they decide whether they can face running the deck they like but think isn't quite as good as Jund. And in the end, a lot of people just gravitated to what they knew.
Well, in talking to the Japanese players, a lot of them chose Jund because they just didn't feel like anything beat it consistently.
Absolutely.
They thought it's still the best deck until something proves itself. We're not going to go another direction. But it's also interesting to note a lot of those notable Japanese players did not have strong finishes this weekend.
Yeah, there was a little Japanese red herring as well, because a couple of weeks out we were hearing about a lot of allies being purchased by Japanese players. It was interesting to see that, the Juari shapeshifter, the clone ally, was just being brought up in droves and being shipped to Japan, in shipping containers full of the things, right? So Great Sable Stag, you see there, coming down. We've got
so this is the trained Armadon plan from Kyle. I'm going to put down 3/3 green creatures, and I don't think he can deal with them.
Basilisk Collar, Oblivion Ring, Trusty Machete, and Elspeth, plus a Plains. I think maybe he can. But he needs to, because he is 2-1 down. After a blisteringly quick game 1, he has fallen behind. And now, of course, Skyfisher is equipped with the Basilisk Collar, comes in through the air. And at the moment, the Death Touch is not relevant, but the life gain is. Swapping the life totals round. And Great Sable Stag for Kyle sits there.
I imagine it'll attacks.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, Bloodbraid Elf. I cascade into not a Garruk. I cascade into Terminate. Bye-bye. Away goes the Skyfisher.
You're at 15.
Equipment was such an advance for the game. You used to play with cards that went on guys, creature and shamans. You felt so miserable when things like Terminate
Sure,
happened.
if that was an Armadillo cloak, and you get terminated, it was just a brutal 2-for-1. Now there's a certain amount of inevitability on the board with the Basilisk Collar. You have to kill every creature, because every time you play a 2/3, you're building your own Nighthawk.
Yep.
That would sell really well, wouldn't it? A build your own Nighthawk kit. Oblivion Ring then takes away.
Tucked again under the black band again.
Technically.
Note to self.
Tack for 3. Wescoe down to 12.
Siege Gang Commander.
Siege Gang Commander,
Can
plus
I get
3
Goblin
guys.
tokens?
Can I get some Goblin tokens? I'm sure you can. We'll give you 3.
Thanks.
And that Terminate out of Bloodbraid Elf has really given a sizable edge here on the back of the Siege Gang as well to Boggemes here.
And so we're looking at I believe a Devout Lightcaster in Craig's hand. And if you look at the way the sport is developed, it's kind of a dead card for him, because there's still, I believe, Putrid Leeches in the deck, but for example, the Sprouting Threnexes that he hides behind most of the time have not shown up to play because they're in his sideboard.
Yep.
So 18-12 for Tchaikovsky fans around the world. Right now, Boggemes leads, lays a land. We're going to see an active mana? No, we're going to see, Pulse the Skyfisher. We are very close to a final here, because 5 guys have gone in. 8 damage, puts him to 4. There are all these tokens.
Just kill you during my upkeep. You better have a Wrath here.
Yep. Handshake! We are done in the semi-finals of Pro Tour San Diego. Kyle Boggemes. He doesn't look like the happiest man in the world, but you can bet his heart is pounding inside, because he has just defeated Craig Wescoe by 3 games to 1, and in a mirror of the other matchup, 3-1 went the other way to Simon Görtzen. And my goodness gracious me, after 411 players bite the dust, Jund will play Jund in the Pro Tour San Diego final.
To get 4th.
Yeah, Kyle must be thinking I should have gone and played basketball last Saturday instead of going to that PTQ.
That is done. There we go. A pair of 3-1 semi-finals. Let's go through that first one, the big shock, if you will. With the greatest respect to Simon Görtzen, he was meant to be there as the penultimate stepping stone to history. But there's a reason we play the games.
Absolutely. And I was very impressed talking to Simon over the break. He said, listen, he's like, this is how I want it. That's what I want to do. I want to be the guy that derails history. If I'm going to win a Pro Tour, which is what I'm here to do, I want to get past LSV. You know, he's not someone who's like, oh, woe is me, I have got to play the best player in the world. He's like, no, I want to play the best player in the world.
Yeah, and his wife, Level 2 Judge Claudia, who is often at most of the Pro Tours judging, you'll have seen her around if you come to these great events. She's been going nuts on Facebook this weekend, as husband is well and truly bringing home the bacon.
Hey, Claudia, he'll be home soon.
Yeah, he will.
He's got something for you.
Yeah, maybe about that tall.
And a check.
That too. Yeah. It's always quite exciting seeing the trophy on the plane home when you're at like a US GP or a Pro Tour and you see a European winner and you're all on the same flight home. There's 20 Dutchies, you know, and the Czech players there. And then there's this guy I remember going home from Yokohama in 2007 with Guillaume Wafatapa, you know, and he's not a big guy. Guillaume's a small man, and you know the trophy was kind of half his size, so he's lugging this suitcase and his laptop bag and this trophy of doom as Pro Tour champion.
My favorite image of that is always the guy sleeping in the airport, stretched out uncomfortably across the things with the check leaning up against him and the trophy for a pillow.
Yeah, Jan Roos coming back from Pro Tour Hollywood. He was there just, you know, head down, trophy beside him, you know, runner-up from Hollywood there against Charles Gindy in 2008. All right, so LSV does not make history in terms of winning. He does, of course, make history for just an absolutely staggering achievement this weekend.
Absolutely. You know, we talked a little bit about best player in the world in our preview show. We talked about Tomohiro Saito, who I thought was playing the best Magic in the world. But, you know, Luis Scott-Vargas has clearly thrust himself back into that conversation. I cannot wait to see what he's going to do for the rest of the season.
And something that's very interesting about Luis as well is that the dip in his form kind of coincided with his, if you like, his real world investment in the fact that he's running Superstars. He's very involved with the Channel Fireball. He edits for that website. And you just saw the fact that, in a sense, he took his eye off the ball for a couple of months where he just had too many commitments to be at the absolute peak. But things are running very smoothly for him in life right now. You know, he seems very, very relaxed. And he went, yep. I came back, and he had a terrific team around him as well. There's a really killer group of people to be playtesting with.
And you talked about like the Channel Fireball community, which is, you know, again, it's making players better. Those guys have absorbed Tom Ross into the fold. Tom Ross, you know, came up with the deck that has come to be known as Boss Naya.
Yep.
You know, it's just always very exciting to watch a community, and really what feels like almost like a super team from the late 90s, early 2000s coalesce around Luis Scott-Vargas. You've got, you know, Conley Woods on board. You've got Brad Nelson. You've got Tom Ross, these guys who are starting to put up great numbers. You've got Paulo on the team. You've got David Ochoa and Josh Utter-Layton, who are just, you know, two of the most dominant Moto players of all time.
I would like to go on record at this point as well to express my personal appreciation to that group of players, because I had a tremendous opportunity over the last month or so to be in on all their emails during testing. So in the last month, I've seen some incredible stuff. They just allowed me. They said, yep, you can come and see everything that we're doing as we build towards the PT. You saw vampires come and go. You see, you know, polymorph progenitors come and go at Calney Gardens and things, and gradually they narrow it down, then they all get together at Oakland, and it was just a tremendous privilege to see that testing process inside a real pro team. It was great, so thank you to them very much. So that is there, and then
the other side of the table.
Yeah, on the other side of the table we have Simon Görtzen. So he is in his first Pro Tour top 8 and his first Pro Tour final, and now he will face Kyle Boggemes, who defeats Craig Wescoe. The white weenie is gone, and Boggemes, the 20-year-old from Waterford, Michigan, been playing for almost a decade, played at Pro Tour Charleston in 2006. That was his team debut, and now comes in to his first Pro Tour final. They're going to be pretty nervous over the next few minutes.
I gotta tell you, I'd be shocked to see Kyle be nervous. He seems so calm. His demeanor is so cool. He's just been kind of a remarkable presence in this top 8. He's playing Jund, and we're going to see Jund on Jund. And I think we're about ready to head on over and take a look at it.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is just to, because we care about your comfort at home around the world, we're going to take a 5-10 minute break here. We're going to let you go to the bathroom, maybe go to the fridge, get another cold drink.
Care about our comfort here.
We care about our comfort here as well. We're going to die in the sauna that is the booth. So we're going to be back in about 10 minutes with the Pro Tour final of San Diego 2010. Do not dare go away. Join us, because history will still be made in just a few short minutes. See you very, very soon.